Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about Fibonacci sequence. Then the question is, what is Fibonacci sequence? Fibonacci sequence is a sequence in which the next term is equal to sum of its two previous terms. That means if we have 1 and 2 and we want to calculate the next term is now going to be 2 plus 1 and it's going to be 3. If you now want to calculate another next term, then it's going to be 3 and 2 and then it's going to be 5. And if you want to calculate another next term, then it's going to be 5 and 3 and then it's going to be 8 and so on till we get to infinity, and that is Fibonacci sequence. The next thing to do now is to convert it to code in such a way that you will understand it and program any application you want to use it for, such as Fibonacci retracement strategy for stock trading and many other things. So let's convert everything into code right away. Wait, before we continue, subscribe to this channel now so that when we get another tutorial, you will have access to them without wasting time. So now let's continue. The first thing we want to do now is to write const get Fibonacci term for a certain value. So we pass a parameter to this one and let's just put number. Let's use small letter number, and so that is it like that. Now the next thing we want to do is to write the seed values that we use to calculate everything along the line. So let's get started. We are going to use let in this case because we are going to be reassigning some of them, and we cannot use const because we cannot reassign const. So let's say latest term is equals to 1. Let's assume the latest term is equals to 1, and let's assume the previous latest term is equals to previous latest term. So, and let's say it is equals to 0. Don't forget, mathematically, to calculate the end term of a Fibonacci sequence, we are going to use Fn is equals to Fn minus 1 plus Fn minus 2. That means Fn minus 1 is the latest term to the next term, and Fn minus 2 is the previous to the latest term. So we add both of them together to calculate the next term. That is what we are doing here. And our next term, let's say next term, which is our end term, is equals to number. Currently, we make it the number we are trying to get its value. So that is what we are using for now. So we have that. You know that if you want to calculate an end term in Fibonacci sequence, we need to do it repetitively. For example, if you want to calculate the third term, let's say we have 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. If we now want to calculate another next term, what are we going to do? We are going to just do 2 plus 3 and it is going to be 5, right? And that is why we have 5 here. So that is how it works. You can see that if you want to calculate another one, we still have to do the same thing repetitively. Like 3 plus 5 is going to give us 8. Can you see that? So you can see that we are repeating a certain process. And if we want to do that in programming, how are we going to do it? We are going to use for loop to repeat a certain process several times, right? And that means we are using for loop now. Let's just do for let index is equals to 0 and the index is less or equals to number. Why do we have to do that? You know, normally calculating Fibonacci sequence is to infinity and we need to put a stopping point to it, and that is why we use the condition index less than the number. You know, the end term we are looking for, maybe for example we are looking for the 5th term, right? Before we repeat a process like 5 times, we would have achieved the result, and that is why we use that to calculate the condition we need. So this index less or equals to number means that we are using the number provided, the end term provided, to determine the number of iteration we are going to do. So the condition means that if the index is still less than the next time we are looking for, then we are moving forward, we are still running the operation. For example, let's say we have 3, the number here is 3, and the first time index is going to be let's say we are starting from 2, right? Let's start from 2. So let's say the index is 2, right? If the index is 2, index is going to be less than number because number is 2, right? Then it means that the operation will still have to run another time, right? Because the condition is not met yet, and it will still operate. The index is going to be 3, and it's not going to be less, but it's going to be equals to the number, for example. And in that case it will still run, but it won't run the next time, right? And this condition is doing that, is the stopping point, and this one is one that is you know tracking the current point. It determines the position we have in the loop, in the iteration. And this one is the increment, and index plus plus, that one is adding, is increasing the position. Let's say formally we are in the second position, or let's say 2, index is 2, so the next iteration is going to be 3. So this one is moving us to another iteration, and that is what is happening right there. Now that we have that, now let's calculate the next term. The next term is now going to be next term is equals to latest term plus the previous latest term. Like we use in mathematics notation, Fn is equals to Fn minus 1 plus Fn minus 2. So that's what we mean by what we are doing here. That is how to express it in plain English, because the next term of a Fibonacci sequence is equals to the latest term plus the previous to the latest term. So, and that is what we are doing right here on the screen. If you look at it now, you know that we have calculated the latest term, right? The next term, right? We have calculated the next term. Now, to calculate another next term, we are going to prepare another seed value for the next term, because every term in Fibonacci sequence needs different seed. For example, if we want to calculate the fourth term, let's say we have 1, we have 0, 1, 1, 2. Now if you want to calculate the fifth term in this case, so it's going to be 1 plus 2, and it's going to be 3. So the seed value for that is 2 and 1. If we now want to calculate another one, the seed value is now going to be 3 and 2. So we are going to get 5. If you are going to calculate another next term, then the seed value is going to be 3 and 5. Then we are going to have 8. You can see we are changing the seed value for each iteration. So that's what we are doing. So let's do it in code too. So now we have previous latest term is now going to be latest term, right? It's now going to be equals to the latest term. Why? Because we now have next term, which is now going to be our latest term for the next operation, right? So then we now have latest term is now equals to the next term, like that. So that is what we have right here. So we now prepare our operation for the next iteration, and that's what happens right here. By the time the operation is complete, then we are going to just return, let's just return the let's return the latest term, return the latest term. We can return the next term too, because they are the same thing. So let's just return the latest term, like that. So let's check whether it works, so that we will not be wasting our time. So let's just check it whether it works or not. Okay, let's just do const seventh term is equals to get Fibonacci term for the seventh term. And so let's now console.log it to see whether it works or not. And I'm going to do console.log seventh term. So now we are going to check in the console whether it works or not. Is it going to work? I'm not sure. Okay, let's see and see what happens. We have done it. We just have to see the result. Nothing's going to happen. We have to see, but I'm scared. Oh, okay, let's check it out and see whether it works or not. Boom, 13. Yes, it works. That is exactly what we are looking for. If you start from 1, we exclude 0. We start from 1. We have 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. So that is 7. So the seventh term is 13, and we get it right. That's what we have on the screen. Hooray! Yes, it works. Now let's check another thing, another term. So let's check for the ninth term. Boom! Yes, it works. Can you see that? 34, and that is exactly what we are looking for. And yes, it is working. It is working properly. And that is how to calculate Fibonacci sequence in programming or in JavaScript. It's similar to any other programming language. Once you understand this, you can implement it in any programming language. So it's the same thing. Believe you can. Those who believe they can change the world. Change the world. When things are hard, they find out why. They learn and adjust, but they rarely give up. They are stubborn and unstoppable. When they fail once, they stand up 10 times again and again and again until they change the world. You too can change the world. Believe you can.